what's Oshawa Harbor today, the first pier that was built down here. So that's all that is. Move on. Again, this is that same area in later times. That railway you see there, there was a trolley that you could take from downtown Oshawa to the lake, and that's what that is. You know, still pretty much farm by the 1850s. It hadn't changed that much except for a few buildings, pretty much the way it used to be. It's changed quite a bit since. This is the Pioneer Cemetery at the harbor that was moved in 1974. Old Benjamin Wilson had his plot there, and all this was transferred over to another location. So if we move on into Oshawa itself, further north, we've got two mills that were very important to the area. The South Oshawa Mill on top, the Warren Mill at the south, and they're the reason why Oshawa became, I guess, an industrial town, was with the development of these buildings that brought in more people, brought in other cottage industries, and helped the communities to grow. People from Brock Township, from Marmora and other townships in the area, in the beginning were taking their wheat down to the Warren Mill in Oshawa, because it was probably the only one that accommodate all the amount of grain that was being grown in the 1840s. So before other mills, even though there was a mill here in Cannington, it was much smaller. It couldn't accommodate the amount of wheat that was being produced. So that you would see people going down and start of winter on their sleds, bringing their unmilled wheat down here, lining up to get it milled, getting credit at the mill, going to the stores and buying what they couldn't get here at the time, and then going back home. Just one of the earliest images we have of downtown Oshawa. I don't think I need to say more about that. So we move on to just a comparison of the old carrying place map with the road that developed afterwards. Because this part in here would have been the part that linked up the Nonquan River to the Beaver River, but that's all that really shows. So next, Port Perry, one of the earliest images at the bottom that we have of Port Perry, and one a bit later, and Cannington. The one from 1860 is actually a photograph that appears in the History of Ontario County by J.E. Fairwell. And that's the earliest one I could find of it. The one on top is 50 years later. But I think they're from different directions, so you can't really compare them as a kind of before and after picture. Okay, next. And I think the one on top is the Beaver River in this area, though I don't know exact location, probably about 1910. The picture on the bottom is taken around Saginaw, where the Yellowknife family is reported to have been on some of their, still their seasonal migration. Might date to about the 1870s, that bottom picture. So, and then we have just a few more, I believe, and we're finished. A couple of the shots of some of the historic buildings in Beaverton, the old stone church and the stone jail. Other pictures of Beaverton from about 100 years ago. That's Simcoe Street, by the way. So that would be the end of the carrying place, basically, as it comes down here, down to Lake Simcoe. And this slide is here is to show you that the native communities are still here, small in number, but there's the Chippewa on Georgina Island and the Mississauga First Nation of Scugog. Probably one of the smallest reserves in Canada, less than 100 people that call themselves members of that community. And shows you just a few of the people that I relied on for some of the information. Samuel Pedler was a I have to say, I guess, insurance salesman, one of the early ones, a pioneer in that industry. But when he retired to Oshawa, he kind of put together his notes on the early history of Oshawa, and we have some of that. We have that material today. Thomas Boakley was a photographer and historian down in Oshawa, collected a lot of material that was useful to us. And one thing I didn't mention is that those early roads that came up here, say about the 1840s and so on, they were constructed out of planks and so on, and they were built that way because they thought that, you know, they would make nice, kind of before asphalt, so they thought they'd make nice smooth roads, but they turned out not to be that useful because they rotted and started causing all sorts of problems. Then they simply made gravel roads. Some of those were found back in, I believe, 1971, when they were putting in some sewers here in Brock. They came across some of those old roads. They actually found them. So I think with that, I'd like to end this presentation, because really this should take you up to the beginning of the historic period, about 1850s, and I don't want to go beyond that. This just to show you that, yes, I have a book on this, and don't forget also Forgotten Pathways of the Trent that Leslie Frost wrote, where he first identifies and talks about the Scugog carrying place. So thank you very much, and I hope I didn't go too far over time.